Hello and welcome to the Faith Building Podcast, episode 51, with your lovely and amazing host, Vladi Kuna.
And Norman Gräter. Hi, guys.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you're listening or watching us. Today's topic is something that we all experience, probably on a daily base, probably on an even second base. It happens every second because we judge. We judge consciously, we judge subconsciously, and it's on one side a good thing because it keeps us alive, and on the other side it's the worst thing we can do because through judgment we miss so many opportunities. And I just want to lead into our talk today, going into this topic, is that most facts are just opinions. Most facts, what people call and probably what you call a fact, is just an opinion, and I want to give you an example. Imagine there's two sales forces and they sell shoes. It's two companies. And they both send one of their best sales reps to Africa, into the bush, small little towns in the bush, to find out if there's a market for their shoes. So both sales reps go out for a week and they come back, and the sales rep of company A comes back and says, boss, I was there for a whole week and there's no business for us. Nothing at all, because nobody is wearing shoes. We don't need to invest anything. Good that we just invested my flight, but no need to do anything. It's a fact. They're not wearing shoes. There's no business. The sales rep from company B is in the same little towns in Africa, comes back and says, boss, this is a gold mine. You know why? Nobody is wearing shoes. We have 100% chance to sell all of them their first pair of shoes, and the second and the third and the fourth. Because nobody's wearing shoes. What a joy and what a gift. And he also comes back and says it's a fact. So the fact might be that they're not wearing shoes. That's the only fact. But everything that comes after that, the judgment of they're not wearing shoes in our example, is just an opinion. But sometimes we mix up the opinion with the facts, because we think when people present it, especially if we know the people or like the people, or you go online and you say, the internet says. Yes, the greatest opinion maker in the world, where everybody can put everything in without any sense of meaning and of truth and whatever in between. Everything sounds very smart, and it's always about the way you look at it and phrase it. And therefore, we want to go today into this topic and say, is it really the truth? Is it the judgment you're falling for? Because so many opportunities that we all have in our daily life pass by because we believe the so-called facts, but at the end of the day, they are not facts, they're just opinions. And if you felt good about a person and somebody else comes and says, he's just full of beep and he is bogus and he's wronging people, and you fall for that, there might be an opportunity passing by. So the question is, should you make your own experience with people, with products, with services, with everything? Or should you always follow the advice of others? And I think the truth is somewhere in between. Vladi, what are your thoughts about our great topic today?
I go back to a story that I've heard from Mary Morrissey. And she was talking about this cashier in the US. And there was this lady and she was a little grumpy and, she was like throwing the food and trying to scan it. And this guy said like, this woman is really miserable. Which let's really pause for a second, all of us, how many times we say this every day. That person is miserable and that person, we never know anybody's story. Never. You don't know what's going on in behind people's, from within, from their inside. Maybe they're dealing with something massive. So they're doing the best they can, but we put them in a sack of unhappy and grumpy. And going back to the story, is once she was scanning and throwing, and then obviously they packed the food, the gentleman paid, and they have this little helper, so he helped him to carry the bags to the car, and he said, this must be the grumpiest, most miserable cashier I have ever seen. And the boy who's helping with the bag says, oh, I know, like her son got hit by a bike yesterday and he's in a hospital in intensive care. She's absolutely sick worrying about him, and she can't take a day off because she would lose the money and she needs to pay the hospital bills. All of a sudden, what happens the second you find out people's story? You feel this love and compassion and kindness, you want to help. It's just perception. Perception is one of your 7 highest mental faculties. And the minute we find out the story, we find this compassion and really love. That's the word I'm looking for, like love. Why are we not like that before knowing the story? Because we judge. And judgment is so closed, tied up to our beliefs. It's what we believe, and we always want to be right. It's not about being right. This is why so many relationships have a problem. And I'm talking husband, wife, kids, a business relationship. I want to be right. I'm going to fight for my right because there isn't such a thing as being right. It doesn't even exist. It's just your opinion. I love what Norman said. I wrote down opinions because Bob Proctor used to say to us, your opinion is just an opinion.
It's so
Like
true.
to us. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you said, it's about the beliefs, it's about habits. I was just, while I listened to you, Vladi, thinking about a young gentleman I worked with a couple of weeks ago, and he's a member of a special forces team, and so special that it does not really exist. Like when they train with live ammunition. So if they make a mistake in training, somebody will die. The level they are trained on to make missions and go into missions is, of course, very challenging for them. And of course, it becomes a habit because in a war zone or in a terrorism zone, you don't have a choice and a chance to make a second opinion and ask other people. You have to react like in a split second. The issue is, and that's the reason why we spoke, was that he's not able to live a regular life anymore. He says, I cannot ride in a train, I cannot like in public transportation, I cannot go in a park, because if I see certain people from a certain race or a certain look, my head starts going into war mode and I feel unsafe. I think about how do I get out of this train now and how can I rescue the people if this person would do something wrong. And they're so programmed in finding the wrong and spotting with micro expressions what people might do or think and if they are good or evil, that if they don't stop that, they're just pulled into that. And of course, if you're in a war zone, this helps you to survive. But if you're in regular life, this does not help you at all. And it's what Vladi just said. It's the opinion about someone, the opinion that got trained into his mind. Like those group of people are bad and they look like that and they behave like that and they talk like that and they move like that. It all became a habit. And based on that habit, it's saved in your brain. And for the brain to survive, and not only the brain, but the whole body, of course, the brain always pulls out those beliefs and habits and says, that we come safe through the day, we have to be aware. Like, don't put your hand on the hot stove. Don't go too close to the edge of a mountain. It's stuff that we learned and it helps to survive. And it's a good thing. But the same thing is about people. Oh, blonde people. Oh, red-haired people. Oh, long-haired people. Oh, women are always. Oh, men are always like. It's all the belief. And how, if you now ask, so what can I do about it? You cannot do anything about it. It's how your brain is programmed and trained for you to survive. So it's a good thing. It's a strong helper on your side. Still on the other side, if you could see the world through God's eyes or through a father's or a mother's eyes and say, yes, my child might have screwed up, but you still love the child. And you're not looking too much on the outside. I think most of the parents, 99.9%, love their children. And if they have a split in between the teeth or if they're not the most beautiful ones or the ears are bent to the outside, could be everything. You still love this child because it's yours. You're very proud of him or her. You're not judging like all the other people probably do based on the standards of society, what is beautiful, what is good, what is bad. But if you could see everything and everybody really with neutral and loving eyes, because love is the choice you should pick whenever you say, what should I do? Then always choose love. And can you look at people through loving eyes? Can you take on challenges, jobs, whatever you do, through the eyes of love? They still might prove you that you were too kind, too gentle, and they rip you off. But this is what we call life and making an experience. And you learn something through each and every experience. But the more you push stuff away because you already know in your mind what might happen, the more chances you just let pass. And that's just a sad thing, especially when it comes to people, that you push them away because they look a certain way or they behave a certain way or they wear a certain style or not. Don't judge the gift by the package, I want to say.
I'll go back to when you use the word react. That's where it really happens. When we react instead of response because we don't pause and we don't connect to ourselves.
Yes.
I have to go back to an interview with Neil Donald Walsh when he was saying the biggest problem in this world we're facing right now, it's a separation, alienation, but actually judgment is another part. So it's almost like this twins, judgment and separation. And we tend to, I go back to my teenage age, where I remember thinking like the group of girls, and there was this judgment of how they look, what they wearing. I removed myself very early from this. I don't like any commenting on people. That is their problem. It's their problem and business. Problem is not the right word, but it is what they choose to do. So it's their choice. That's what I'm looking for. So if somebody chooses to do that certain way, we have no right to go, oh, but she should do this and he should do that. And you don't own people. Relationships are not ownership. And you go back to our episode where we talk about relationship, we talk about this in deep sort of sense. But really go back to judgment. We judge because we feel empty inside of us. The only reason why we feel judgment is because we feel that it's either some people, which is truth, they get elevated by seeing some other people not succeeding, failing, not doing well because it makes them feel better. Oh, she couldn't do it either, so I'm not that bad. It's this I am not good enough and feeling this inside. This is why we are such a strong advocates for self-love. Fill your cup first. It's I am more than good enough. If you can reach the point, that should be your only mission in entire world. Okay, not the only one, but I mean, really main mission is feel that you are worthy. You are more than good enough and you deserve everything. Because the more self-love you feel, the more you respond instead of react, which means that your attitude is much better. You're looking for good in everything and everybody. That actually lets the judgment go. So you will meet people and circumstances and conditions where you will actually address them with understanding, thinking, oh, my ego wants to judge this, but this is not my journey. And there is sometimes, we all do something that actually could be judged for. But how do you know people actually genuinely come back to themselves saying, that wasn't actually my best? I really should not have said that. Because that is the journey we're learning from. That is the point where we stop and pause and say, okay, I need to improve. I really need to improve this. And that is such an important part. Like, really, don't judge even yourself. Self-judgment is actually the crucial point, because we just self-sabotage ourselves all the time by the way we talk to ourselves. Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not skinny enough. I don't have enough education. I don't have enough money. And I've been doing it. Is all where it starts, with self-judgment. So people who judge themselves a lot, those are the ones who are reflecting it on the others. People who found themselves or working on themselves, we never really find ourselves, but do the best, we tend to judge less because we work on ourselves. And we know that sometimes we're in a situation, it wasn't easy. It's the programming, conditioning. And then you look at it, it's like, why did I do that? I know better because the conditioning took over. And that's stored in your subconscious mind. I'll give you a quick example. I was driving a car yesterday. My daughter's netball match got cancelled. I didn't pick on the message. I mean, they did let us know a little bit later, but I looked at it and I should be already gone out of the house. Now, I don't know if in the UK, when you're on a school run, it's like a traffic gets 5 times heavier than any other day. So it's not the normal 15 minutes journey. And I've looked at the clock and they were like, it's cancelled. And I was like, there's no way I can make this on time. See, I've already made that statement, regardless of, there's always a possibility to do it. So I texted the group saying, oh guys, can someone just find Elizabeth and tell her to wait for me? I race through the town. And I was like, thanks God there's no speeding cameras on it. And I shouldn't be saying this online. But anyway, I want you to be all do it. And I drove that. I ran through. They were out 4 minutes late, which played in my favor. And I was there on time. And you know what? It made me laugh because I thought, I bet there were so many drivers who swore at me in the way. We sometimes was like, what is she doing? Why is she rushing, cutting? Because my only zone was, I need to make it to the school. I need to make it to the school. Was I proud of myself? No. Was I safe? Yes, pretty much. I always say I'm the best driver. So I wouldn't do anything. But the thing is, like, the judgment we have on other people, and sometimes we find ourselves. Have you ever found yourself in a situation that you judged before, but you were at the other end now? And you go like, oh, next time I better not make comments on this person or the driver or the people, because actually this is really bad point for me to see. And until you get under the bridge, I can't actually see this. And the judgment we place on things every single day are feeding you not good enough. So remember one thing, it's faith or fear. They're both invisible, but which one you feed? Judgment or faith. But when we talk about faith building podcast, it's about your belief, and it's that belief that is tied to your judgment. Norman, back to you.
I totally agree, and I was reminded of a story that Wayne Dyer shared when he was a young student. One of his professors, teachers, said to the class, how do you recognize a self-aware person? Imagine there's a dinner party, cocktail party with tuxedo and really beautiful dresses, and a person would show up in bathing pants. How would he react? What would he say, do, think? And this was the challenge the class had. So they thought about it and say, he will go back home, he will feel miserable. And they had great explanations. And they presented it to the professor, and at the end he said, all good ideas, but you were all wrong. The really self-aware person would be at this cocktail party and he would not even realize that something is wrong. Because only based on our judgment that, oh, I'm wearing bathing pants and everybody else is wearing a tuxedo and a ball dress and is beautiful dressed up with jewels and watches and rings and stuff, and I have nothing. I have a snorkel in my hand, great. If you don't judge the gift by the wrapping, by the paper around, life gets so much easier. And this is our topic of today. Why are we judging so often? If we would be more self-aware, what Vladi said, if you would have a higher opinion about yourself, and if you would see yourself amongst brothers and sisters of the same kind, we all come from the same source, we are all the same. And I have a beautiful explanation, and I cannot show you right now because I was not prepared for that, in one of my keynotes, where I take a water bottle and say, just imagine this is God. And then I take the water bottle and say, and God created Adam. If we just believe the Bible for a moment, he created the first human being. So I take a glass and I pour some water from the bottle into the glass. Because if God, source, universe, created man, it could only use what it had, right? So God could only use God to create something out of God. Makes sense. He had no material bag with him. So he could only use whatever he is. And you would see, if you would see life, that the bottle looks different from the glass. Yes, we don't look like God. We don't look like source. But the thing that's inside is the same. Then he took a rib of Adam and made Eve. I take the glass and take another glass that looks different style, and pour some of the water into the Eve glass. And now they made Cain and Abel, in German Cain and Abel, and Seth, I think, a couple kids. I take more glasses and I fill out of those two glasses something in glass 3, 4, 5. And I say, and this happened 8.234 billion times in the last couple of thousand years. It just reproduced itself, the within part. So if we would hold this opinion about ourselves that we are the greatest thing that ever existed, and we don't put the label on and says, I'm God. Yeah, people say it's blasphemy. Don't take a label for it. Can you just see that you are the highest powerful source there is within? And not only you, because if God, universe, source created everybody, The same thing must be in Vladi, the same thing must be in you. So why do you judge yourself in such a bad way? Because the glass, the outside, the wrapping looks a little bit different. Because probably in the past you have had some experience where you said, oh, this outside with blonde hair always tricked me in my relationships. Or people with a mustache always are evil. Or you know what I mean? You just base it on the paper rather than saying everybody is good on the inside, and they might have taken a couple roads and turns that did not turn out the best way, let's phrase it like that, and that's why they are miserable, because they actually forgot how powerful and beautiful and strong they are. And this is what you should know about yourself. Because imagine this inner light you have, this source light is like a projector in a movie screen. The projector is in the projector room, it's on the inside. And you're sitting on the outside in the movie theater. It's disconnected from the inside projection room. It's two different things. Inside projection room, outside movie theater. And whatever you see on the screen is just a white beam of light. That's source. And then life happens, which means in a movie theater, some people put a roll of film in between the light and the screen that you see. And this is what we call a movie. Or in life, we would call it real life. You see real life happening, stuff on the outside happening. Now, you would be with me if I say you can exchange the people in the movie theater, you can yell at the screen, you can exchange the screen, you can tear down the screen, build a much more beautiful screen. It will have no effect at all on the movie that's been played. Because it's not about the screen where the projection hits. It's not about the people in the movie theater. It's not about the building, the room itself of the movie theater. It's what is being put in between the godly, the source, the universal light, and your daily life. And this is not what happens. What happens on the outside in the movie theater. It happens on the inside. What Vladi said, what happens on your inside, what you think about yourself, what you believe about yourself. If you think the world is evil or the world is a great place, that's the most important question you should answer every morning. Is the world a beautiful place or is the world an evil place? And I promise you, depending on your answer every morning, your life will unfold. Because the movie you see on the screen, the life you have on the outside, is just a one-on-one reflection from what's been put in front of the light on the inside. And this means what you think about yourself. And here we come to the master of self-image, Vladi Kuna. What can
I
you
was
tell us
gonna,
about the self-image, about the
I was
film?
gonna say that we should talk about the next episode, self-image values and
Sounds good.
worthiness, because it's quite a while. But what I'm gonna say is this emptiness. It's that emptiness within us. And that is really causing a judgment. And I love what you were talking about because it's such an important realization. We're all one. One of our masters, and which is my favorite law, is like there's no private good. So if any deal, and I'm not just talking about business deals, guys, I'm talking about your relationships and anything, friendships. If the deal is not good on all parts, it's not a good deal. But usually where the self-judgment and the judgment actually kicks in and feeding it is, oh, I need to make money, so I'm seeing it and people ignore it, or we try and hide it. We know. We always know that, you know what, this is not a good deal because this is going to make me a lot of money, but it's not good on a client. Will you take that deal? Ask that to yourself. Because really, it only comes to the times where you're standing in front of the situations where it's either you can get someone you would love, but we will talk about this next episode on the relationship and self-image. But really, why are we judging? Why are we really judging everything? It's the environment, because feeding us. That's why we tell you never listen to news, or okay, just never is a strong word, but don't listen to news, don't listen to radio. It's a manipulative technique of which causes judgment. Oh, but you don't understand. And people have this addiction to news, and they will fight and ruin a real relationships, which is the only thing that truly matters, for an opinion to be right. And we're going to finish this the same way as we started. but I am right because you don't understand. I've heard this on the news and I've raised. And the most important person may be right in front of you and you're trying to be right, judging some situations based on not even understanding fully how it works, not knowing the stories because we hardly ever know the stories behind. What is really truly important to you? And that really ties to what Norman asks you to think about every day. What is really important to me? Would I rather be right or would I rather be happy? Would I rather have a great relationships where I can actually fly through the day and have fun because I don't even know whether I'm right. Yes, the beliefs we have and the experiences we went through and what we adopt, and we have this, we fight for our limitations all the time. If we all just let it go, and that's the best exercise you can do actually to improve the judgment. Let it go. It's just think about, what if this thing is just outside of me? It's not who I am. Why am I even trying to? It's this kind of like energy rising towards the, just remove yourself, like stay, feel that circle, step outside of it and feel that is not who I am. And that does not define me. And you have to make a conscious decision to be less judgmental. Otherwise, it will never happen. People say, I want to buy a new house, but I don't have the money. Well, you haven't made a decision to buy the house. You will find a way. This is what we're teaching all the time. So make a decision that you will avoid and eliminate judgment from your life as much as you can, because it starts with the conscious decision and it starts right now. It's like, don't put it all on the 1st of January. I'm going to have these New Year's resolutions. The resolutions don't work, really. That's why so many people give up after a month, because it takes a committed, irrevocable decision to step into something new. Norman, close it.
I totally agree. Do you want to be right or what was the beautiful quote? Do you want to be,
Happy.
you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Thank you so much for the reminder. It reminds me of another beautiful quote. I think I learned from the Gottmans, which are great relationship teachers. And they said, very often, especially us men, we want to help, of course, then females if they have an issue, but most of the times the ladies can solve that on themselves and on their own agenda. They just want to be heard. And the Godman said, whenever you start judging and say, oh, somebody needs my help or I need to take care of that, just stop yourself and ask the other person, do you want to be helped? Do you want to be heard? Or do you want to be hugged?
Oh,
Because sometimes we just want to have a hug, or sometimes we just want to be heard, and sometimes we want to be helped. But especially for us men, we think, oh no, we always need to help. And the ladies, probably it's the opposite, and you probably always think the other one needs a hug, but maybe they need help. So it's always based on our judgment, and this kind of closes the loop for today. Just be more open, see more the goddess and the god inside of each and every human being, tree, bug, beautiful fish, ugly animal, beautiful animal, the same with people, and just try to see the core essence and don't be blinded by what kind of light other people put on others, because it's just their opinion, even though they might sell it as a fact. Bring the opinion and the choice to make an opinion back to yourself based on your own judgment. And if you see love and God and source in everyone, God, source, and love will look back through everyone and everything and you. And this might lead to the greatest life you have ever experienced. And I look so much forward to the next episode, 52, where we speak about self-image and all the topics we started scratching today. And we wish you a wonderful week. Stay safe, stay unjudgmental, stay open-hearted, with lots of love, and we see and hear you again next week. Until then, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.